Then go live. Hello everybody, I'm Faded Woods, Fates Be Firewoods one day, and we are here with the Ace Attorney Apollo Trilogy. Now I have played the original Ace Attorney Trilogy a few years ago. Click the button to read our privacy. No need. Let's just get right into it. Okay. Time to lawyer up. Okay, let's sit here. Options. This is good. Okay. Now, I want to become a lawyer so I can defend all the Palworld players. No, just kidding. Alright. Follow justice. You're no Ace Attorney. Phoenix Wright. Episode 1. Turnabout Trump. Oh, a painter. Fire goes out. Spiderweb. Oh, you can tell this is a step up from the original trilogy. Deck of cards? Oh, they're playing cards. Okay. Showdown time. To Ace. I think the Ace is one. You lose. I can't scream. Oh, we went for the bottle. Heck! Oh, jeez. Is that blood or wine? That's definitely blood. I seem to be in a bit of trouble. Something like that. Ooh, he's cleaning a cleaner. Dead. Someone hit him. Hard. Me? Please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that. It's calling the Pulp Fiction cleaner right now. The wolf. Is that supposed to be the judge? Look how glorious he looks in that painting. April 20th. 9:37. Apollo already. Palm sweaty. I can admit it, I'm nervous. Ah, good morning. Gumshoe? You're not Gumshoe, who the hell are you? Good morning, sir. You look tense, Justice. Wound up tight? Wound up, sir? No. I'm loose, I'm fine. That screeching noise, is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial. And it's a homicide, I guess. Justice doesn't start small, eh? Just like Phoenix, they're all homicides. It's never a robbery or some kid just pulling a prank. It's always homicide. I'm fine. I got up at 5 a.m. to do my Chords of Steel voice workout. I'm fine. Ah, that explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality to your screech. I overdid it again. Look how cool this guy looks. With that hair, how is it so long on one side? Look at the bailiff over there, he's looking straight at me, what the hell? As you know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down, if you get my drift. Drift gone, sir. I'm all over that drift, Tokyo Drift. As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. We can't let this case fall through. Your friends. Yes, I'm fine, sir. Oh, one more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. What do you mean? Oh, I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. Who is the client? My name is Apollo Justice. If it isn't clear already, I'm a new attorney, and today is my first trial. Not that I'm worried or anything. The defendant has been accused of murder. My boss wants him to help out, of course, and so do I. I mean, there's no way he did it. Not him. No way. Who's the defendant? Phoenix? Already? Whoa. Look at him, he's so dazed. Stop acting like this. I know you're better than this. Good morning. Morning. It's all up to you today. First trial. Nervous meeting Meeting? Cardiac arrest? What? I think I'm supposed to say something. Help. So, you're... I'm fine. Mr. Fine, is it? Nope. Stop with these dad jokes. He's a dad, right? I did remember you having an odd name. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? A brand new novice attorney? Who has to defend you with homicide? Who doesn't know what they're doing? You okay with this? He's not saying a thing. Well, you've been in my shoes before. Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney. Oh, so he's Mr. Gavin. And he's your friend. So why? You'll see. Looks like that confident smirks, Ace. You can do it. Be confident. I'm really sorry this happened to you, It's time. Shall we? Yes, sir. Okay. I need to focus. First trial. Here comes justice. April 20th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. There is Judgy old friend, old pal, and is that who I think it is? The court is now in session. It is Max Payne. Is that his name? No, it's not Max Payne, just Payne. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is, fine. Ready, Your Honor. Look at his hair, it just wilts. He's sweating so much already. Mind going blank. Don't panic. Too late. Your name was Mr. Justice, and this is your first trial? Yes, sir, Your Honor. But I'm fine, really. Are you quite sure? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Mr. Gavin? Yes, Your Honor. I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case. That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always cede to his client's wishes. Does Ace really wanted this? And my client specifically requested Mr. Justice. Well, of course he wants Mr. Justice, but to entrust this case to this greenhorn. Why? I do not exaggerate when I say that you are the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin. He is? Okay, so Gavin's got trial experience, fine. But does he have cords of steel? Then, let's begin. The defendant may enter the courtroom. It's Ace. I like the beanie. This is truly an unfortunate turn of events. I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. Long time no see, Mr. Wright. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm merely Phoenix Wright, piano player. Mr. Wright? How could this have happened? I won't speak of it further, then. If the prosecution would be so kind as to explain the charges, Mr. Payne. To think, I saw you enter this room a fresh attorney, and now I'll see you leave in chains. Damn. He's really salty about losing all those times. Ah, Winston Payne. Subtle as ever, I see. Ahem. The crime occurred at the Bosch Bow Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer, and he hit him, wham, on the head, smack, killed him cold. A customer at the restaurant, you say? And the defendant, you say he was? The pianist for the club, it seems. Phoenix Wright, a pianist? Since when could you play musical instruments? This is the weapon that took the victim's life, a bottle of grape juice. Grape juice is apparently our defendant's drink of choice. That's wine. I know it's freaking wine. Never took, he took up drinking or something. The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence. Grape juice used as the murder weapon bears the defendant Mr. Wright's prints. Something to know, Justice. All evidence is filled in the court record. Make a practice of checking it frequently. The court record. Right. I've heard of that. Use ours to look at the evidence so far. Oh wait, it's not Mr. Gavin. Oh, it's Christoph Gavin. Okay. I'm confident in your ability to handle this. Right, just use R. Sounds like it's time for some hands-on action. What has he got? The attorney's badge. How long did I yearn for one of these? Just putting it on makes me feel ready. Smith's autopsy report. The time of death was around 2 a.m., April 17th. Death caused by a single blow to the forehead. So in the front. Crime photo 1. The sub-basement of the Borscht Bowl Club. And the deadly bottle. Grape juice bottle used as the murder weapon. Bears the defendant with Mr. Rice Prince. And then we have everyone else. Christoph Gavin, 32. Boss at Gavin Law Offices. A first-rate defense attorney and my trusted mentor. Phoenix Wright, age 33. He's getting old. He's not young anymore. Pianist in Borscht Bowl Club. Really? An actual pianist? Formerly an ace defense attorney for some renown. Are you kidding? He took a bunch of difficult murder cases and won them all, except that one time he lost. Shady Smith. Shady? Age unknown. Victim? On recently back in country. Traveler. Winston Payne, 61. The prosecuting attorney, for all his experience, he lacks a certain presence. So, the victim was a customer at this restaurant. But just who was this, Shady Smith fellow? We believe he was a traveler, Your Honor. A traveler? According to his passport, he has been out of the country for a number of years. He had only returned to his country recently. Through his place of residence is unclear. He was just bone about, I bet. And he had some sort of connection with the defendant. That, too, is unclear at present, Your Honor. We believe they first met at the Borscht Bowl Club on the night of the crime. If they had only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim slighted the defendant's piano playing? That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least, not piano playing. I'll let this photo explain what I mean. Dead. Look at that shabby place. The walls are cracked. As we can see, that game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime. Wait a second. Isn't poker gambling? Duh. That's a crime in and of itself. It depends. Indeed, it appears our defendant has found to become the basest sort of criminal. Objection! Irrelevant. This isn't what he's being tried on. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. Yet, it was only that, a game, in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor. A competition? Yes, a test of wits, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs, wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. What? Come again? The cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defense was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present and impress women. That will be our first order of business here then, to find out more about this fatal game of cards. What are you gonna say, Phoenix? Why is he so smug and confident? He's so chill. What the hell? Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure. This is it. My first trial. Here goes nothing. His eyes look so sleepy and he's got stubble on his chin. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play it at all. What do you mean you can't play it all? My real job is to take in over-interested customers over at the poker table. The room where we play and the competition in there are on the club's main attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is. A game. And our customers are happy. A pianist who can't play piano. Better than a defense attorney who can't defend. Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Right, Your Honor. My first cross-examination. Don't blow it. Are you alright? You're sweating bullets. Bullets? Where? It's the figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too. My brain feels strained and raspy, sir. You've watched me perform cross-examinations many times, though you've never done one yourself, have you? Care for a refresher? No need. I remember a year's worth of gameplay in the past. Refresher, of course. No thanks. No need for help here, sir. I think I've got this one covered. I think you'd better do more than think. You know it, or you do not. I'm fine. The cords of steel are ready for battle. My weapons, press and present. Find any inconsistencies and lies in the testimony, and reveal them to the court. That is cross-examination. Learn it, know it, do it. Inconsistencies, lies, Phoenix Wright. As if Phoenix Wright would never lie, and it's up to me to prove it. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Alright, Ace. Time to call out you on your bullshit. I got 5 HP bars. I am a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. The room where we play, and the competition in there are the main club's attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is. A game. And our customers are happy. 2 decks of cards. A simple measure to prevent cheating. If you alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. And there's something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lines scattered on the floor. What color are those? Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor. Each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we used 2 types of cards at the club. One deck of cards was red, the other blue. As I recall, in poker, you make 5 card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yes, a game of hands. What does he mean by that? Game of hands. Let me ask him about this. Hold it! Why? You can hardly play? Oh, I play sometimes when customers demand it. So I play them one song, and that's usually all they want. Was that supposed to be a boast just now? The title of pianist is a mask, a respectable face I wear for the world at large. Then why are you really at the Borscht Blow Club? My real job is to take on interested customers and play the poker table. Hold it! They pay you just to play poker? That would be the case. I'm a professional after all. Bah, do I take pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hardworking member of society like me to imagine. Yes, your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston. Oh, calling it out on all those times he could not figure out the truth. What? I've played poker for 7 years in that little room. 7 years? Phoenix, what happened to you for those 7 years? And I've never lost once. What? You see why the customers come now. Defeat the undefeatable poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw. Wait, you've never lost once, not even one time? It's a game of luck. As I said, I'm a professional. He played poker for 7 years and never lost once. Is that even possible? No way, he's lying. The room where we play and the competition in there are the club's main attractions. Hold it! The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction. It has quite a history, actually. The Borscht Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. The black market? That's shady as hell. All in the past, things like the black market are only on the silver screen nowadays. Suffice it to say, there were a lot of deals being made under the table. Right there in that room. A smoky room, gabbling hoods, you know. Just looking at this picture makes me feel bad. The bosses gather around the table, cutting deals, safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watching through with a small window. Oh, there is a window. I can practically picture it now. That window does look like it would be good for keeping a lookout, but little else. room had few other tricks to it, though it was common knowledge to our regulars. At any rate, they come to play poker in the room steeped in history. Despite the dark past, it was all good, clean fun. Huh? This competition you're talking about. I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right. It was a simple game after all. Are you sure? Huh? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Defendant, you were in the room the very moment the crime occurred, yet you claim no connection to the crime. Now that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of objection from the defense. I completely let that one slip by. Don't despair just yet, Mr. Justice. Sir? Right. There is something I'd like made clear. Namely, your connection to the case at hand. And I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Very well. The defendant will amend his testimony. Just one little press. And I've got myself a whole new testimony. I plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. Let's go back a bit more. Remember this. Hold it! So, you claim you weren't gambling. That's right. It was simply a game. You didn't bet any money? Not even a little? The only thing at stake in our game was pride itself. Ho ho! Well put, Mr. Wright. I've got a game mind to play a hand of poker myself. The stakes? Your fate. Back to the trial. I plead silence regarding the murder. Hold it! Silence? The defendant has the right to refuse to testify. I haven't forgotten everything about the law. It's pleading the fifth, always plead the fifth. But why? That clearly puts you at a disadvantage. And it's your job to turn that around in your favor, right? Great. Like I didn't have enough to do already. Justice, didn't you detect anything odd about that testimony? Wait, something he said did ring a little strange. When you figure it out, present evidence. Contradiction. But why? Better check the court record. Isn't it a little early to be judging to conclusions? First examination, take it slow. If you need more information, don't forget to press. Or press everything. Okay. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. Well, your job is taking straight going to the poker table. The room. I plead silence regarding I would never touch the murder weapon. Well, technically you touched the deck of cards. Wait. How do I check? Doo-doo, records. Oh, I can save right here. Should definitely save. Dun, 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 dun. Consult. Oh, consult. It's on. Let me check these right here. Well, technically, the murder weapon was the bottle. Right? It has your fingerprints on it. Objection! Hey, Ward. So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon. This grape juice bottle. Right? So I said. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb. What's this, Mr. Payne? I examined the bottle in question, you see, and it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints. God damn it. Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Excess yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case. But what about my cords of steel? Anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? Well, that's true. The prints... Oh, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints. Huh? But the fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down. Upside down? What does that mean? It means he was holding the bottle inverted, and there can be only one reason for that. He used it to strike the person. Aw, jeez. Look at him, he's so jealous. Wait, is that his actual hair? Did he really grow hair? I just noticed now. He was always wearing a toupee, but he let his sides grow out. And he's so confident he loves that hair. What the hell? Yes, to brain someone with a bottle. Yeah. Oh, look at his face. He looks so dumb. Mr. Gavin, I think things just took for a turn for the worse. Oh, I see no problem, Justice. Huh? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything you'll see. Defendant, can you explain the fingerprints on this bottle to your court? Pleading the fifth again? I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now. Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case. I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason. Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. And where might that be, Mr. Gavin? On the night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police? Reported? Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright. But still, that... Really? Yes, well, according to the case file, the murder weapon was reported from the near scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone. Near the scene. Let's take a look at the diagram of the murder scene, shall we? Oh, this is new evidence. The victim was murdered in a small room in the basement 2 floors down from ground level. Of course, wait. Ground level, but wasn't there a window? Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. Right? Yeah, there's a window right there. It can't be under... Why did it have to be a black and white photo? Come on. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. Which means this diagram must be false. The defendant used the stairs in this hallway to go above ground. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant. I see. And this is the phone that was made the call. Right, cell phone used by the defendant to notify the police from the first floor. The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose. Yet, he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported it to the authorities. And you claim he is being uncooperative? Nice save, Mr. Gavin. I better not waste this. I think the prosecution has toyed with our client enough for the time being. Toyed? I assure you, no one is more serious about... What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment that crime occurred. How could you possibly know this? That's a good question. How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness. You're as good as they say they are. So someone else was in the room on the night of the crime. Why isn't that on the record? That must be why they witnessed the crime. Everything up to now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? Very well. The prosecution may call the first witness to the stand. Who is this? They're so shy. The witness will state her name and profession. Oh, hold on just a moment. Where's the witness? Right there. Oh, I think she's got the Russian hat. She's Russian. I surmised that she had been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns. Demonic-looking horns? Don't worry, he's just jealous you have hair at all. so I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns point in your direction, this court will cut them off. You are sure? I swear it on my gavel. Please, come out. Isn't violence against hair a crime, Your Honor? Well, if you are sure it is okay. Oh, look how he's got little rose cheeks. Now the What the? Wait a minute. Would the prosecution care to explain this witness's, paraphernalia? Yes. She is a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade. And that would be... My name is Olga Orly. I am employed as a waitress in the Borscht Bowl Club restaurant. There's no other players at stake. She's the murderer. That's just how it goes. Then, why the camera? Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht, that is, naming restaurant. But I also perform, how is said, other service. Should I give her a Russian accent? Of course I should. I take it one of these other services is taking the customer's pictures? Da. Like, for example, this one. Oh, it's a colored picture, for real. There they are talking. I can see the Matryoshka dolls over there. What they eating? I can see a bunch of bottles. That's the defendant. Indeed, on the night of the murder, man in white is one who has gone kaput. Indeed, that is the victim. New evidence? Is it evidence? Order! Order! This is quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps. It is same way I has dropped cold blows of borscht on laps of customers casually. I don't think you're a very good waitress. Then the court will casually accept the new evidence. Now, witness, where were you at the time of the murder? I was in room. The hideout, we call it. Excuse me? The hideout? It is room where famous gangster Baghdai was arrested. It is room where murder took place. What? Picture. You get caught in 4K. You look lovely. Utter surprises. Is it lovely? I will post by courtroom door later for you. Da. Photos will be numbered and you will write which one you want copy of. So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the crime. The victim, Shady Smith, Wright, and Olga Orly, our witness. And if Mr. Wright isn't the killer, that means... We know what that means. It means you are the murderer, Olga. But why? You will testify to the court about the night's events. I just like the little rose cheeks. That fateful night. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. Oh, you're gonna alert Dark Wheel? No problems. This game is really fun right now. Alright, thanks for checking in. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. The victim, he plays whole time with his hands on locket at his neck. Then, last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. That man flew at victim and strangling him to death. What? What? To death? Strangle? What? Incidentally, who won the game? Isn't it obvious? The winner was the victim, Mr. Smith. Objection! That's ridiculous. Because Mr. Wright can't lose. He just can't lose. Nah, he'd win. Justice. Maybe you can come with a more legitimate objection. But he hadn't lost in 7 years. Take it from me, kid. It happens. I didn't lose a case in my first 7 years as a prosecutor either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. They keep adding new evidence. Oh, an actual colored picture. 7 and 2 aces, and they have 2 aces, and what's that over there? Looks like some kings. King. Yeah, they win. The hand and the chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith. Chips, you say? Duh. I mean, yes. Imagine that poker is a war. Your hand is your army, and the chips are the spoils. I know that. After all, in my youth, I was known as the Pokerhead Courtroom of 3? I think he means poker face. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness. That night, customers asked me to deal cards for gain. Hold it. You were dealing cards. Do you know this often? Do you do this often? Duh, I am doing this. If customer wishes it, I serve anything. Borscht, cards, more borscht. Picture. It is my work. It's good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service. Welcome you to Borscht Bowl Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitresses. Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. Hold it! How's that relevant? It's already April. How could it be cold? At Borscht Bowl Club, we have pride in authentic, rustic Russian environmental restaurant theme. Outside it is in city spring, but inside it is always as cold as Mother Russia. No way I'm going in there. I would die. I don't like the cold. When it comes to hot borscht, cold is its best seasoning, The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on the locket at his neck. Hold it! That seems relevant. His locket? I believe it was good luck charm, He gripped it many times as he played that night. Yes, he must have felt as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Though if it were small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift. The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about. I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket? Of course, I knew that. Judge is really losing his weight. He's losing his ears. It was probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it that. No, a locket's a locket. It doesn't matter what shape. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the heart of hearing in our society. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the heart of hearing in our society. Heart of hearing? Or heart of understanding? So, what happened next? Then, last, hand is done, but something terrible has happened, Hold it! Something terrible? Eh? The defense will refrain from needless shouting. Sorry. I need to consider this vocal training thing. Now, Miss Orley, can you tell us what happened? Oh, I was so frightened. I trembled with fear. That man flew at the victim and is strangling him to death. Hold it! That is a really big inconsistency. But the defendant would never do such a thing. Well now, I can't say I've ever heard the defense try this tactic. If possible, please, refrain from embarrassing me. Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker? Perhaps it is because the defendant has lost game? Yes, a crushing defeat for our man undefeated. So it is always with men like him. Winners make sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall. Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir. Leave it to me. There were only 3 people in the courtroom at the time of the murder. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and if Mr. Wright isn't the killer, then it was you. She's wearing mittens. That's suspicious. The autopsy. Objection! Strangled to death. You fool! He was blunt force traumatized. Oh, really? Strangled, you say? That's odd. Normal customers only choke on borscht. Wait, you can choke on borscht? What even is borscht anyway? No, I mean, this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Ah! Miss Orley, really now? Did you witness the crime? Whoa. Impressive. I'm just living when the freaking defendants and witnesses start overreacting. Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything. Yet, it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor. Whoa. That is a blunt force to the head, alright. He's indented. You know, without the hat, he looks like that one dude from Gurren Lagann. Here's a photo we took from the victim with his head off during our investigation. Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? His head certainly was hit. Look at him. He looks like that one dude from Gurren Lagann. But I have seen it happen. The defendant, he lunged at the victim, his neck. Oh, really, Miss Orley? I think I caught you in your own lie this time. Justice, I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more. What do you mean? I found a contradiction. There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination. There's such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead. Let's stop beating it. There's no such thing as talking aloud too much. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. In this code, both players played with hats on. The victim, he plays the whole hand locket at his neck. Well, does he actually have a locket in his neck? It doesn't seem like he has one. Oh, there it is. But it's gone. Objection! Where did it go? You know, there is one curious part in her testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said. But what does it mean? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about? Recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand on his locket at his neck, I believe she said. I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar. No, but look at this photograph. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean? If we are to believe this witness's testimony is as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death. Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simply, when you think about it, if the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no? Taking it off? Wait, you don't mean... The defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it? But why? That's mad suspicious, Phoenix. Defendant, what do you have to say to this? Wait, on your neck! Yes, I just noticed this, but... You have something hanging around your neck, don't you? Oh, you mean this? Yes, it's a locket with a photograph inside. A photo of my daughter. Come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter? We confirmed it at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. So Mr. Wright has a locket, too? Why don't I buy this is just a coincidence? Well now, if the results of the poker game had led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game. Further testimony won't really be necessary. It is clear the defendant lost. Badly. Miss Orley, you will testify to the court about the game played between the victim and the defendant. Duh. She has to be the murderer, right? And I'm getting a red herring situation. Is she really the murderer? It's like the most obvious thing. Since it can't be Phoenix, and it can't be anybody else. The game begins with 3,500 points in chips for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who was winning, it was victim. For last hand, defendant play with all chips on the table and lose. The moment lost was decided. Defendant grabs Mozo from ball table and... And what? Indeed, looking at this picture, it does seem to be a one-sided game. As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. Failure must have been a bitter pill to swallow. Ah, how many times have I heard this words? I done it in a fit of anger, Your Honor. A common tale, but true. Methinks the judge watches too many old court movies. Mr. Wright said he hasn't lost in 7 years, so this testimony must be wrong. Game. Hold it! Hold it? Are those the usual starting points? Were any special rules used? No, not special. Usual game. Usual rules. If each man began with 3,500 points, then that would total be around like 7,000. Exactly 7,000 points. Please, this isn't calculus, not even long division. Why is he just standing there? House chips can make 2 sizes, large and small. Are these chips in the photo all the chips that were used? Then red and black chips. Da, of course. Something's fishy with these chips. Should I press harder? Fish and chips. Where's the fish? Maybe you could explain this a bit about these chips. Eek, explain? What is there to be explained? Poker chips are poker chips. They're not fish and chips. Not a chip off the old block, nor enough puns. I already made that one pun. Thanks. Now that I repressed her, I better ask something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars or rubles even? Yet, as I've been saying before, it was game, not gambling. Hard perhaps for a capitalist to understand. She just outward said, "You are capitalist, scum, Mother Russia." 2 types of chip, 100 points chip and 1,000 points chip. It is not money, da. Justice? Sir? Don't you find her comment interesting? Yes, she called me a capitalist. In more ways than one, sir. I have had it added to her testimony myself. Well, does the defense want to witness to add it to her testimony? Yes. Yes, I do think this deserves further scrutiny. Added to the testimony. I wish I knew where I was going with this. Very well. Witness, you would be so kind? Da, Your Honor. One kind of chip is worth 100 points. Other kind is worth 1,000 points. 2 kinds in all. Okay. Let me look at this. Yeah, those are chips, alright. But wait, if the big ones are 1,000, then it doesn't add up. Unless it's the other way around. If each player started with around, if the total game is around 1,000. Wait, which ones are which ones? So if the small ones are like 1,000, that'd be like 6,000. It's more than the total game allows. Even if either way, maybe like 6,000, each one is like 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, it's around the same amounts. The small ones are worth 1,000, and the big ones are worth 100 each. Right? Hold it! Can you explain which ones are which ones? Mr. Gavin said this testimony is important. To be honest, I have no idea why. Mr. Justice, do the court a favor and think what you want to say before raising your hand. We are not in kindergarten. Sorry, I'm fine. I better think there's something to ask. How much are each chip worth? By colors. Duh. The small ones are 100 and... right? Of course. Ha. Nope. Don't waste our time. Sigh. Is that all? Yeah. Go. Great. Oh, Justice. Please try not to embarrass me like that. Huh? Ooh, me? Really? Let's see, there's a clear contradiction. Two types of chips. Duh. The small ones are 100 and the big ones are 1,000. No, the small ones are 1,000 and the big ones are 100. Go on, try it. We're not in kindergarten after all. Calculation. The one who was winning. Duh, it was the victim. Wait, now that I know that, let me look at something again. Oh ho ho, no no no. The victim was not losing. I mean, the victim was not winning. He only has 2,000 while Phoenix has around like 4,000. The one who was winning was the victim. Objection, that is bullcrap. Objection! You sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure. Objection! It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at the picture is enough to tell you who won. If you're not in kindergarten... Pain. Pain, 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 pain. It pains me to tell you that you do not know how to count. Just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which ones were worth 1,000 points? Why, the big ones, of course. Oh ho ho, I thought so too. But the totals don't add up then. The totals? Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips, and the combined total, that was 7,000 chips. Yes, if my calculations are correct. Let's see, 3 plus 1s carry the 5. They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. If the big chips are all worth 1,000 points, and the small chips are worth 100 points, and you add them all up, how much is it? Just count them. Do it yourself. You aren't in kindergarten, are you? 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's true testimony. But why? How could this be? Exactly, Justice. Now that you know the what, you must determine the why. Right. There's only one possible way to explain this contradiction. Both are right. The starting chip points were wrong. That's not right. The chip count was wrong. Wait, what does this mean? Chip count was wrong. Both were right. Wait, what are these answers trying to tell me? The starting points were wrong, and the chip count was wrong. Both were right. The chip count is wrong because it's not the chip count. Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in this photograph, then there can only be one answer. Well, what is it? The value of the chips was the other way around. What? Want to know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000 points, not the big ones. Madness! Utter madness! Show me the photograph and the chips once again. There are 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Why, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up. We passed kindergarten, though I don't think kindergartens can count to 1,000. I mean, can they? I don't know. Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself. Well, I'm just glad I was the one who said it. But wait, the value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing. It changes everything. Indeed, the victim did have all the large number of chips still. Ah, you get it now. Exactly. If the small chips are 1,000 points and the large chips are 100, let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table. Please, I know you're 60. Don't let this happen to you. The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900 points, and the defendant had over 4,000 points. Well now, it seems Mr. Wright was winning that night after all. That's impossible. My client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning. Yeah. Don't get too riled up, Mr. Payne. You're gonna lose your hair. Now, Miss Orley, you must have known the true value of the chips, since you were there at the scene of the crime. Weren't you? Aye. Impressive. Order, order. It appears our defendant has lost his motive, and Mr. Wright was supposed to defeat never happened. You're losing, buddy. We must out. Hold it. Excuse me? What is it, Miss Orley? I did not want to be saying this, but actually, you see, See what, Miss Orley? What do we see? In the last hand, there was cheat. Cheat? A cheat? You don't mean a trick? Wait, do you mean a scam? They're all the same thing. Yes, there was a cheat in last hand. That is why game ends with chips as they are. Great. Just great. First we have lying, now cheating? Well, this case certainly has taken a turn. For the interesting. Witness, will you please testify to the court? Tell us about this cheating in the final hand. The last hand, both men had full house. There is 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. Wait, there is 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. Is that right? That was 5 of each card. I guess it's 4 of each card? If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. No. There are 2 aces. 2 aces. Doesn't seem cheating. 3 kings. 3 sevens. It doesn't seem like cheating. Since there's 4 of each type. And then you have the ace of clubs, black. Ace of spades, black. Ace of hearts, red. Ace of hearts, red. And then you have... I mean, it seems fine. The diamonds are red. The clubs are black. Spades are black. Hearts are red. Hearts are red. Clubs are black. Diamonds are red. Spades are red. Hearts are red. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's cheating. Wait, what's that at the bottom of the screen? It's a red card. Hearts. And another spade. Oh wait, over there. Is it an ace? No, that's a spade. What is that? Oh wait. That red... No, that black king. It's facing towards the... Is it supposed to be facing that way? They all look slightly different. I don't know, playing cards. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game became argumenta. The defendant's trick was exposed. He took the ball in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith. Miss Orley, why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? I thought I smelled a cover-up. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers. A full house is a very scoring hand. Not easy to make in my experience. That alone is enough to suspect less than scrupulous tactics. Mr. Gavin? What's a full house? Lawyers these days, you don't know your poker. I can't say this bodes well for your case or career. Why is knowing poker part of the job requirements? Then again, my brother is good at poker. That's kind of funny. What is this? Some kind of secret court poker ring? Justice. You know the terms 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 of a pair, yes? Yeah, no problem. 2 cards with the same number makes a pair, 3 makes a 3 of a kind. Good. Now picture a hand with 1 pair and 3 of a kind. That's a full house. That doesn't sound easy to make, does it? You can see each player's hand in this photo. Wow, they both have full houses. But with this, I'm pretty sure the victim won because he has a king. And Phoenix has the 7s. We forget there is an easy way to make a full house and go undefeated for 7 years. You cheat. The defense may cross-examine the witness. If he did cheat in the last hand, that still leaves one important question. He had a losing hand. Mr. Wright lost that hand. Yeah, right? Who's ever heard of a professional conman losing when they cheat? The last hand, both men had full house, yes? Just how hard is it to make a full house? Anyway, the probabilities. It is quite hard, da. It is making a pair and 3 of a kind at the same time. I guess that's right. Very difficult to be sure. You can take my word as the poker head of courtroom number 3. Very difficult, da, but it is not impossible. Okay, full house. Hard. This line of questioning, a waste of time. There is 4 of each card in deck, from ace to king. Hold it! 4 of each card, you say? Da, there is 1 spade, 1 diamond, 1 heart, and 1 club for each card. It is interesting fact that this number of 4 comes from the number of seasons. Huh? You don't say, never knew that. That's interesting. And you did know that the cards are numbered 1 to 13. Out of all the cards in the deck, you get 364. A year. Huh? You don't say. Isn't that 1 day short? That's why each deck has 2 jokers. They say the second joker stands for the leap year. Thus, you have a perfect representation of the year, all in a deck of cards. Huh. You don't say. And I believe the cards are also part of the tarot, because you have the spades as minor cards and hearts as well. They're part of the tarot as well. We're going to be in this courtroom for a year if it keeps going like this. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument da. Defendant's trick was exposed. Hold it! Do you recall what the men were arguing about? Da, I believe so. The victim, he shouts, "You are cheater," and then the defendant shouts something like, "I have objection." Silent objection, eh? Old habits are hard to break. First he bluffed his way through the courtroom, now he bluffs his way through life. Maybe that is why he's good. Is that how he wins? By bluffing? Objection! However, Mr. Wright lost the hand. That seems to be the cast of shadow on down Mr. Smith. Humiliation from losing even when cheating. That is what set fire to defendant's heart. So, what did the flaming defendant do next? He took bottle in his hand and poured Mr. Smith. So you saw this happen? Hold it! By bottle, are you referring to this? Da, the defendant uses this bottle to he murdered him. This behavior is an admission of cheating by the defendant. But why use grape juice bottle? You'd be surprised at what can be used as a weapon. This juice is a recommended drink at the Borscht Bowl Club, da. This year's vintage is remarkable for its hefty flavor. Did they censor this to be grape juice to wine? It's wine. It's obviously wine. Hefty enough to brain a grown man, apparently. First, she says it was a serious competition. Now she says there was cheating? Justice. noticed anything odd. Her testimony keeps changing. Now she's saying the defendant cheated. Actually, yes, I had noticed that. She can get accused of perjury already. Let's get to the truth about this cheating first, shall we? Right, leave it to me. The last time, both men had full house.
Hold it!
Just how hard is it to make it a full house? This is old. Full house. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument. The defendant's trick was exposed. He took a bottle in hand. Poor Mr. Smith. What is the evidence I'm looking for? There's the bottle. Cards on the floor. It just doesn't make sense. He lost the game. He won the game. Why would he be angry? This is them before it. What's that in the back over there? Something worth 350, 600, something else? There's a bottle over there. Bunch of bottles on the floor. Yeah, I mean, and then this dead man. Oof. Photo of forehead, hat removed during investigation. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. I mean, is it? We're safe. It's not obvious.
Objection!
Oops. I'm getting hit for this. The witness statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor. I'm sorry, but I can see nothing faulty. Unfortunately, I will have to penalize you, Mr. Justice. Ow. I must be on the wrong track. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. The next moment, game becomes argument that the defendant's trick was exposed. What trick?
Hold it!
Do you recall what the men were arguing about? Da, I believe so. The victim, he shouts, "You are cheater," and then the defendant shouts something like, "I have objection."
Objection!
Humiliation from losing, even when cheating. That is what set fire to the defendant's heart. He took bottle in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith. Oh dear. First she says it was a serious competition. Now she was saying there was cheating. Justice, notice anything odd? Her testimony keeps changing. Now she says the defendant cheated. Actually, yes, I noticed that. Cheating. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. What could be the thing? I already tried this. I'm gonna examine this too as well. Bottle. If you look at both men's hands, cheat is more obvious. What do you mean by their hands? They look normal. He's wearing sandals? I mean, I can't really see their hands. Well, that and their playing card hands. I already presented this evidence, though. Right, I already presented this. Hold it. How was it clear? Well, the defendant, he played a 5th ace. I hit the press again. A 5th ace. I still remember both hands very well. Mr. Smith's hands had 3 aces. No, he has 3 kings. He has 3 kings. How? And Mr. Wright has 2. Obviously, cheating was afoot, or perhaps I should say a hand. Your Honor, perhaps this can be added to the testimony without Mr. Payne's joke? Very well. The witness will add this detail to her testimony, please. Is 5 aces in all? That is wrong. Impossible.
Objection!
It appears the witness is mistaken. Mistaken? But my name? Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in the testimony. That's the photo of the chips, is it not? Justice, perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. I like how the judge has to get explained really well, because realistically, you want your arguments to be very concise. In other words, use your finger to point out to your point. Yes, please point out the contradiction in this photo. What particular point contradicts the witness's testimony? The 3 kings.
Take that!
Miss Orley, in your testimony, you made the following claim. Mr. Smith's hand had 3 king aces, but as you can clearly see in the victim's hand, only held 2 aces.
Objection. Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was defendant's hand that made the 3rd ace in question.
Objection!
Taking a look at the evidence. As you can see, the defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's the 5th ace? I see cheating alright, and it's going on right here in this courtroom. She's full of bullcrap. 2 aces in each player's hand does make 4 aces total. Hardly proof of cheating.
Wait, please. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating. I swear to you.
That's odd. She must be lying. Yet she's the most sincere I've ever seen her all day. You're right to trust your instincts. Sir Gavin, who knows what lies in store for us at the trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Gavin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards. The cards? Mr. Payne. Yes? The players' hands that night were set aside as evidence, were they not? The defendant would like to request that the cards be shown to this court. Very well. The prosecution will submit this as evidence. Which will you examine? The victim's cards or the defendant's cards? If these cards don't prove cheating what's going on, nothing will. Now, which of these hands is more suspicious? Which of these hands is more suspicious? Red hearts, red diamonds, black clubs, black spades. I mean, the thing with the extra ace. So let's go with the defendants, the victims. View the victim's hands. It was the victim's hand that changed over the course of the witness's testimony. The defense requests time to examine Mr. Smith's cards. Very well. Mr. Payne, if you would.
Very well.
Alright. Well, time's a wasting. Get to it, Justice. Yes, sir. Well, here we are. When examining evidence, be sure to view it from all sides and angles. Try using the arbor to turn every way in which around a zoom. That should give you a better perspective on the case. Okay, let's do this. Oh, what the hell is this, a blue card? What? Your Honor, look at this. One of the victim's cards. The back is different in color. So it's a same card from a different deck, but why?
Yeah, that's impossible. But I put that card in the right hand.
Oh, you flubbed up. What was that, Miss Orly?
No, yet. I merely said, da, I have eek.
Your Honor. Mr. Gavin, yes? Tell me, what is the easiest way to cheat at poker? To have someone deal them. To cheat? I'll tell you. One merely needs a friend, or a comrade, shall we say. The dealer. Wait, so you mean... This witness, Miss Orly. She's the cheater. A professional, I'd wager.
Yarg.
Ooh, she's got... Oh my god, look at her hand skills. No wonder she's good at cheating. She's actually just throw stuff in the air and just catch them. She's got dexterity maxed out. She'd be a dexterity player in Elden Ring. Order! Order! Focus, Justice. Time to take advantage of her. Wait, that's kind of wrong phrasing. I mean, of her mistake. Good catch, I think. Your Honor, please recall the testimony we just heard.
That's impossible. But I put that card in right hand.
Ergo, Miss Olga Orly conspired to cheat not with my client, but with the victim, Mr. Shady Smith. Or, not only did she cheat, she cheated poorly. Therefore, it's not hard to imagine an altercation between her and the victim. What? Wait, you don't mean the defense isn't accusing the witness, Miss Olga Orly, are you? Oh, I can see the picture now. Time for justice. There were 3 people in the room at the time of the incident. And if Mr. Wright isn't guilty, that means... I am. The defense accuses the witness, Miss Olga Orly, of murder. Oh no. This would also mean that she's... If the victim got murdered because they were angry they lost the game and they got angry at Miss Orly, isn't it like self-defense? Oh, it's gonna be really tragic. Mr. Payne, where is your witness, Miss Olga Orly?
It appears she has lost her consciousness, Your Honor.
Mr. Justice, Your Honor, it seems you presented a new possibility to the court. One suggesting a connection between the witness and the victim, Miss Smith. And that means this court cannot pronounce a verdict for the defendant at this time.
What?
I did it. No doubt. I see no point in prolonging the trial for this day. The prosecution will need to make further inquiries.
Objection!
Who said that? Mr. Wright? You want this done in a day, don't you? You freaking... Mr. Wright? You can't end the trial here, Your Honor. Not yet. What nonsense is the defendant spewing now? Think. One of the cards had a different colored back. Don't you wonder what it means?
What are you doing, Mr. Wright? Raising objections right when you're about to get off the hook. Ridiculous.
He wants it done in a day. Mr. Payne, you all people should know, Mr. Wright has a talent for the ridiculous. He does. You know, it's funny. People keep punking on Wright because he's just that unlucky. But now he seems to be holding all the cards. He's the one who knows stuff that we don't. It's kind of funny. Perhaps we should get to the bottom of things. Let's clear up the facts about the game that fateful night. He just looks so out of it. It's so funny. As was said before, we alternated between 2 decks of cards that night.
That was said before.
The 2 decks at the club have different colored backs, blue and red. 1 color per deck. Why use different colored backs? If you use the same color, the 2 decks might get mixed. You used different colors, and they still got mixed up. We used the red deck for the last game. I see. But that's odd. For some reason, I have felt this impression that you were using the blue cards. Yeah, me too. Really? I had the impression they were just regular cards. I'm sure someone said something about blue cards. Whatever. In the end, one card on the wrong color got mixed in, which means there was cheating. Yes, a card slipped into the deck would seem to indicate cheating. Yet, this card raises two serious questions. Apollo? Yes? Let's consider the first question, shall we? What are you teaching me through this? Think. In the last game, when was the card swapped? When? There are three broad possibilities here. It could have been swapped before the murder, during the murder, or after the murder. Well, yeah. Thanks to the news bulletin, Mr. Wright. Of course it was swapped. Oh. It might be as simple as you think, Mr. Payne, or it might not be. Remember, pictures to everything. This is just a picture after the murder. Right. It could have easily been swapped after the murder, which means she was right. Wait. What if Miss Olga Orley's telling the truth? It was swapped afterwards. Then why? Why would it make it seem like he won when he actually lost? It doesn't make any sense. I'd like to hear what Apollo thinks first. When do you think the cards were swapped? When the cards swapped the deck? Definitely not before the murder, that would make no sense. During the murder? After the murder? After the murder? Perhaps it happened after the murder? What's that? Ridiculous! What's the point of cheating after the hands have been shown? That's silly!
Objection!
Yes, but tell me, how do you swap cards during the game? I'll take silly over impossible. Take it from me, son. There is a lot of silly things in this world, but very little impossible. Oh, even when the backs of the cards are of a different color? If you pull that during the game, you'd be caught in no time. So true. Quite true. That would mean that the blue card in question was swapped after the hands were shown, after the murder. Okay, this is going past silly and straight onto crazy. I ask again, what's the point of cheating after the game's over? For the photo, of course. Who would do that? Who indeed? That's one of the mysteries before us. There's another? Yes, a simple yet decisive question must be asked. Who swapped the red card for a blue card? What? Who? The game and the murder is done. The victim is dead. Only two remain in the room. Alive, that is. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and our witness, Olga Orley. Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for a blue? It had to be Olga Orley. Why, it must have been Olga Orley who swapped the cards. She was trying to cover up the evidence of cheating. That does make some sense. Sorry. But there's a problem with that explanation. What? The swapped card from the wrong deck. Yes, a blue card was stuck into a red hand. Mixing a card from the wrong deck when the backs are of different colors. Remember that you're talking about Olga Orley. She was the dealer. You really think she would make such a novice mistake? Actually, I have trouble imagining even the judge making that mistake. Give it a little more thought, Apollo. Right? Okay, so who was it that swapped the red card for a blue? The victim? No. It wasn't Phoenix Wright. What would that point be? It had to be someone else. The one who swapped the cards was Mr. Wright, of course. And well, it doesn't seem like it would have been Olga either. What are you suggesting? That's hardly a logical conclusion, I'll admit. As a defense, I think it only makes sense for you to name Miss Orley at this point. Yes, I know, I did. It's not it either. But she was the one who dealt the cards, right? I mean, I just can't believe she was the one with a mistake of swapping the wrong colored card. And if the card was swapped during the game, it'd be obvious. Why are you laughing, brother? Something like you have to share with the court, Mr. Wright. Oh, my apologies, Your Honor. I was just thinking about how much fun all this is. Why are you laughing like this, bro? How about confusing? I have no idea what the defense is claiming, Your Honor. If the one who swapped the card wasn't the defendant, and it wasn't Miss Orley, then who was it? Yeah, well, that is the question, isn't it? Precisely. Huh? I believe we're about to see this case take a new direction. A new direction? We'll find that indeed, after the murder. Someone swapped one of the cards in the victim's hand, and that someone made two critical mistakes. I'm sure you're going to tell us the first was swapping the wrong colored card, because the one who did the swap didn't know two colors of cards were being used. The other mistake was the number on the card. Right, number on the card. Right, the person replaced the 5th ace with a king. I'm sure whoever swapped it wasn't expecting there to be a 5th ace after all. All they knew was that the game had been won with a full house. So they picked up a king from the table and swapped it in. Why? But there's one problem. According to the case record, this person doesn't exist. True. Not until now. But you have to admit the possibility of a fourth person. Though it's more than a possibility. There was someone else there that night at the scene of the crime. What? Who could it be? It's somebody we don't even know. Oops. That's everyone here. You do make trials ridiculous, Mr. Wright. This trial has proceeded on one central assumption, namely that, at the time of the incident, there were only 3 people in that room. I believe this new evidence, shall we say, overturns that assumption. The problem is that you chose to conceal this information from the court. I suppose that is a problem, yes. Court is adjourned for a brief recess. Mr. Gavin, I'll see you in my chambers during this recess. Certainly, Your Honor. Very well. The trial will resume in 20 minutes. But who's the 4th person then? That was quite unexpected, Mr. Wright. To suddenly claim there was another person at the scene of the crime like that. I must ask, is it the truth? Well, now, I think you'd know the answer to that. He's like, oh brother, you're such a nuisance. You're always with your silly assumptions. Ah, being mysterious, are we? Sadly, I have no time for mysteries. I'd only ask that you leave the defending to your defense in the future. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee the outcome. I see you haven't mellowed out one bit, Kristoff. Justice. Yes, sir? The judge has summoned me to his chambers, so carry on without me. Alright, solo bolo. You did well, Apollo. Can I ask you something? Sure. That locket you wear, is that really yours, Mr. Wright? It's not the defendant's, right? And the victim's? It's the same, it's a different one, right? Ah, you're wondering about the victim's disappearing locket. Here, you can take a look at it. That's a picture of my daughter in there. Trixie! Your little magician's hat. I'm just surprised to hear you had a daughter. Most people are. Perhaps you'll meet her one of these days. One more question. The one who cheated that night, was it you? What do you think? Huh? You know what happened 7 years ago, what I did. It's not unreasonable for you to think that I might cheat. Oh yeah, I think I've already been spoiled about this. You got framed of using false evidence. I'd never, honest, but it is odd that he managed to go undefeated for 7 whole years. Want to know something? There's only one game where you can be dealt bad cards all night and still win. Poker. Huh? You see, poker is all about reading your opponent. In that way, it's a lot like a court case. Poker is like trial law. Maybe that's why my brother is playing poker a lot. Figure out what your opponent is thinking and you win. Well, yeah, but that's harder than it sounds. I think not. Try as they might to conceal it, everyone reveals their true thoughts in the end. Their body language can be a valuable source of information. You're kidding! That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? No. Come on, who noticed that? Words, habits, twitches, it's all information for the reading. That's the secret to winning, Apollo. Someone taught me, and now I pass the secret on to you. But I'm not worthy. There's no way I'll pick up on these signals. No, you can do it. Huh? You just don't know it yet. What's he talking about? But you will, soon. Or he's going to jail to face life in prison. Almost forgot. One more thing. About this case. You should know, I haven't told the truth to anyone yet. What truth? I knew it. I have my reasons, of course. All shall be revealed. Oh man, these goddamn mystery folks, always keeping their cards close to their chest. And Apollo, I need you to be there, defending me. I need your power. My power? I had no idea my cords of steel were special. It's time. The real trial begins now. Do your best. To be continued. Now. After I save. Continue? Yes. April 20th, 12:14. Hello, pain dude. Court will now reconvene. Has our witness, Miss Olga, Orley, recovered?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, she's regained consciousness.
Perhaps we can hear her version of events again.
And that's the thing, you see. She's quite fatigued.
You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne. Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Miss Orley take the stand. Very well. The witness will take the stand. Oh, there she is. She's scared. If there's a fourth person, I wonder if they're making her say stuff. Maybe she's a witness and he's protecting. Perhaps you can repeat your name and profession. Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poor loser.
Yeah.
Nuts. What the? She's a pirate now?
Name's Olga Orley. That's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quick Fingers Orley.
She had a total personality shift. What the hell?
Oh, really? Want to know something else? I am not really Russian, and my last name sounds like oh really? There, that's the truth. I hope you're satisfied.
Witness, you will tell the court that you were really up to that night. You're not doing yourself any favors. Now she's gotta be the killer.
Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see?
Let me remind you that you are currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences. She already technically lied. She's already in hot water.
Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy, Smith, hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at Borscht Bowl Club several days prior to the night of the game, as a waitress.
So you were in cahoots with the victim?
Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was planning to plant a card in the right pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of the games. When the hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search right. He would then pull out the planted card and then trap when we snap shut. You swap the cards. Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it, it would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces. Indeed, getting caught red-handed at cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins. A 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan. Oh really, Orly? How droll. But it appears you made quite the mistake. A mistake? I agree, the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to the planted card? Hey, that's right. He's lucky, I'll give him that. You'd have to be a slip free from a trap lady by Olga Quickfingers Orly. Oh really? The witness would be much cuter if she'd spent with that evil mastermind shtick. Cute? Who wants to be cute? I am not cute. I'm bad. You hear me? Bad. She's got the Space Ishtar shtick. Trying to be bad. Just be nice. When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court. Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung. Give us back the old Orly. That night, I planted the card like it was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him, but the planted card was gone. The trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith. It was that no-good cheating defendant. You just said... Wait. You said you called him a cheater, but he wasn't actually cheating. It was you cheating. Cheating about cheating with cheating. A surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark. The trap was perfect, I tell you. Perfect. If that rotten cheater hadn't messed it up. Look who's talking. Well, the testimony for what it's worth is all yours, Mr. Justice. With witnesses like her, who needs criminals? And with a defendant like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors? This is a crazy Mickey Mouse court. That night I planted the card. This planted card. Which card was it exactly? The trump card. The 5 of hearts. Let me guess. Mr. Wright was to have switched the 5 with an ace to make a full house. At least that's what you were going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend. I slid into Wright's pockets. When was this? Why, before the match, of course. While he was eating. At the Borscht Bowl Club, we served borscht and suckers. Remind me to never go there. Of course, the card was going to make his grand debut during the game. Like good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early and allowed to thicken. And Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to, and then Smith searched him. But the plan... Wait, let me go back.
Hold it!
So, everything went according to plan. Exactly. The 5th ace came up, so it's as obvious the switch went off without a hitch. On the next... Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and a fraud. There are worse things to be known as, I suppose. Tell us what happened with the search. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed.
Hold it!
The card disappeared. Yeah, my trump card, the 5 of hearts. Gone, without a trace. Poof, zippo. Is it really? Let me take a look at this. 5 of hearts. Wait, she said 5 of hearts. I mean, it's right there. I can see a hearts card right there in the bottom. And she said 5 of hearts. But why
Why 5 of hearts? It needs to be a 7 for it to work. But why would he search him anyway? It doesn't make any sense. Even inside his cute little hat. But the car was nowhere to be found, is this correct? Never in my long storied career never has Quick Fingers Orderly been so readily duped. Oh really? So what did happen to that 5 of hearts? Don't look at me. Why don't you ask the cheating, lying, two-faced defendant? So the 5 of hearts is still missing in action. The next moment, Wright picked up the bottle and swung it. She's lying. Wait, isn't that a little odd? What's odd? You searched Mr. Wright thoroughly and found nothing? Which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim. Well... Oh, what the hell is that? Oh, this must be the thing that they noticed. What was that just now? I just sensed something. Oh, the new game mechanic. Cool. Something wrong, Mr. Justice? No, nothing, Your Honor. What to do? Should I press her a little harder? Yes. Miss Orley? You're hiding something. Ooh, what are you talking about? You... Me? Quick Fingers Orley? The defense will refrain from baseless accusations. I gotta give a freaking Irish accent. I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true? Of course it's true. I did see it. Honest. I saw it when Mr. Wright hit him. With my own eyes, I saw it. She's lying. What's this weird vibe I'm getting? That witness, for instance, Miss Orley. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? She's omega lying. Touching her neck, was it? What the heck is going on? Oh, so up close. And her fingers twitching. The sensation is coming into focus. There, that twitch, it's so clear. It's like I could perceive her habit like I couldn't before. Perceive X.
Gotcha!
Miss Orley, perhaps you are unaware of this yourself. Unaware of what? Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand. My neck? So what? What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory of she touches her neck. I'm sure of it. A memory? Why would someone care to explain what he's babbling about? This is highly unusual, but let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you should have evidence of this memory to show off. Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of her crime. So what would remind her most of the moment of the crime? It's Orley? Whenever you recall the crime that night, you scratch your neck. I've noticed it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind that habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left the inerasable impression on your neck is this. Is it this? Is it the bottle itself? Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And it reminds us more of the moment than this bottle, the murder weapon. But something doesn't fit. If you were the only one to witness the crime, why would you touch your neck like you're in pain? What's he talking about now? It was Mr. Smith, the victim, who was hit, not you.
for that reaction. This is not a cross-examination, not a cross-wild conjecture. The witness's habits, they're completely irrelevant. Justice, I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later. Just trust me. Now is our only chance to break her. Miss Orley, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime, the very moment. Oh, she's back to normal. Yet, I know nothing. Nothing. Her personality swap like a launch from Dragon Ball. She's meekishly sheep, then confident and rude. We know you're not Russian. This is what I love about Ace Attorney. It's so wacky. The witness will testify now, please. There we go. Bah, fine. Here's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there.
Hold it!
You seem uneasy. You try standing up here. Her eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like? Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at the table until the cops came. Intriguing. I believe you got all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So, what do you think about her testimony? I'll tell you what I think. Her testimony is totally flawed. It's basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence. Ooh, what's that? You say he was standing still dazed, but he's the one who called the fucking police. Show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. This evidence that you claim that contradicts the testimony. She didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that. Miss Orley, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know that the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made the phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. So, explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. Oh, she's done now. Wait, borscht is made out of lobster? I gotta try it now. The man who picked up the phone bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant. You're not gonna admit it now, are you? She's coming clean. Spider. Showdown time. You dirty cheat. Check his pockets now. It's gone. The card's gone. You lose. Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to Mr. Wright, and he hit me. You? Some master of cheating you turned out to be. When I came to, the victim was already dead, is that it? That's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If I came out that I was in a league with Mr. Smith, I'd be suspect for sure. Well, where does this leave us? Madness. This is madness. I'm dreaming. Welcome back to the Ace Attorney courtrooms, where everything's crazy madness with these bullshit cases. It must have been me who was hit with a bottle, and am I imagining all this? It appears to our prosecution is at our wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events? He's like, Mr. Gavin, sir? I believe that as the defense in this case, we are compelled to call Miss Orley a big, fat liar. What? 3 were in that room the night of the murder. The defendant, the victim, and her. And she has a motive. A motive? Her plot foiled, the witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith. And the denouement of that argument was the murder. What? I didn't. I'm no killer. It was a trap. Someone's trying to frame me. Is it time to bring out the fourth person, right? What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled, we catch ourselves in the process. Mr. Wright? Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider the other possibility? That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder. Right. Were you even playing cards that night? Right, like Mr. Wright was saying before recess. A single card was swapped into the victim's hand after the murder. And the one who swapped the card didn't know two colors of cards were being used. A fourth person. Ha, this theory again, your fourth person doesn't exist. Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court, here, where there's no escape and no chance of deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal. The real criminal? And we're in luck. A clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided to for us. And right at the beginning of the trial, no less. What? Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about. Sorry. Remember what I said. The fourth person who swapped the cards to make one critical error. He or she wasn't considering the color of the backs of the cards. Right? But how could such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there is one person here, in our courts, who thought these cards were blue. Yeah, I had that impression too, but why? Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was? No. It's not me, I swear. Who is this fourth person? Why do I always get put on the spot like this? Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought that the cards used in the final game were blue? The fourth person. The only players left, it's not you, so it... Christoph? Because you're not the third person. You're already in the game. You're also already in the game. Already here. Christoph? But why?
Take that!
As I expected. Your eyes and ears as are sharp as your hair. Wait, what do you mean, Christoph? I was right? Christoph Gavin. You were the fourth person that night. What? You're joking. But of course Mr. Sari knows the color of the cards. How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which of the cards are blue. The ones on the floor or on the table. But look, you can see the colors in this photo. Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. Yet, it was only that, a game. In the purest sense, a competition, Your Honor. A competition? The murderer is my mentor? Standing right next to me? Oh my god, what is this turn of events? Now, this is why I like Ace Attorney so much. It's always keeping you on your toes. Always something else to expect. Yes, a test of wits. A silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame. No final outcome. Well, Christoph. Oh my gosh, I'm standing next to a murderer. Mr. Gavin? Mr. Gavin, is something the matter? No, nothing. Excuse me, I was just so... sudden. Right. You aren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Christoph?
You knew I'd never take a joke this far. Holy shit. This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant is accusing his own defense attorney of murder? I assure you, I'm quite sane. But what possible connection could Mr. Gavin have to the victim? I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either. Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met. Well, what if they have? What evidence do you have now? There is a possibility, after all. They may have met that night, before the game started. What are you suggesting? Is this the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Well, only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request The defense would like to request no such thing. I'm the one heading this case. Mr. Gavin, testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happen before the game of the poker be related? Oh, jeez. I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin. As I explained before, the defense believes that Miss Orley... Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense. He is the defense, not you. That's why he requested me to be the defense. Mr. Justice, as the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you. Oh, okay. Okay, what do you mean okay? You know what this is going on. You're standing next to a murderer. What happens if I don't do anything? I can literally choose to not proceed or hear the testimony. Okay. Like, oh my god, this is like the bad end. No need. As much as I'd like to, I guess the testimony isn't related to the case, per se. You hear what the judge said, Apollo. It's your decision. Yours. Justice, you aren't seriously considering... I'm sorry, Mr. Gavin. But now that we've gone this far, we might as well go all the way. Wait, I thought I chose to... Wait, what? Record, load... Wait, I thought I chose to not pursue. Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony? I chose no need, right? Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. Mr. Gavin, but now that we've gone this far, we might as well go through all the way. Testify to court. Very well. The defendant, or Mr. Wright, will take the stand, please. Guess there's no bad ending. Appetite before murder. That evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That was when I made another phone call to Defense Attorney Gavin. Mr. Gavin, you were at the Borscht Bowl Club the night of the murder? I dine with him rather frequently. And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder? Quite against my will. I had become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, Wright? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took you on your defense. It appears that I was wrong. Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness. Justice. Sir? He's lying. And you're going to expose him. Understood, sir. Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright. This can't end well. Why can't I have a normal trial? because you're dealing with these two. That evening, Kristoff and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph.
Hold it!
What would you eat in? You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes, he dines with me at the Borscht Bowl Club quite frequently. We were enjoying a usual dinner in our usual spot as usual. I guess Phoenix Wright likes Russian food a lot, I guess. Usual? I always eat at the table closest to the piano. Oh, wait, it's right, he works there. I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting. So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner? Indeed. The remnants of my meal with Kristoff. We dined for 2 hours, then Kristoff left. After that... Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. Wait, let me go back.
Hold it!
5 minutes. So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time? That would have been a fateful encounter to be sure. Hehehe. Oh, Mr. Wright, what was it you said? Kristoff Gavin and Shady Smith may have met? I believe I did say that. Here I was all nervous about this meeting. And now we hear they just passed in the hall? That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder. Oh, it would be, if that were all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. Don't play tease. We hate teases. What are you hiding? When the trap failed, the Smith hit the waitress.
Hold it!
So you knew they were attempting to frame you. This is the same trap that Miss Olga Orley mentioned? The plan was simple, elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would pull out the card and trap shut. You swap the cards. Uh-huh. We know this, just like that. The legend would be dashed to pieces. Yes, a harmless prank, in essence. It was, by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it. A quirk? I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The card she planted. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game. Disposed of? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice that I'd been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. An empty bottle of grape juice? The murder weapon? Is it actually? Yes, I rolled it up and shoved it in there. The colored glass makes it hard to see. Is it? I don't see it. Is it stuck? I really don't see it. A battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. That sounds like terrific drama. A card inside the murder weapon? That's strange. Did the police miss it in the investigation? Maybe I'll take a look. Mr. Wright, the poker head of courtroom 3 approves of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information. I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle. I mean, that's what's weird. It's not in here. It's not in here. I have to present this.
Objection!
This evidence... dud. But it's not in there.
Hold it!
Why in the bottle?
I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. I'm used to entrapment, you see? I knew what was coming.
Ho ho, so you struck first. I like that.
I know every trick in the book.
They don't work on me.
At least, when you get lucky and stick your hand in your pocket, they don't. Okay, here's the bottle. Can't see it in here either. Here's the bottle again. No card. He's totally lying. Wait, there's something. It's not in here. I don't see the card anywhere. The murder weapon has no card. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police.
Hold it!
You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down in the hideout. Was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night after all. So there, in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. I didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead.
Hold it!
A cut? When you returned, the victim was already dead. Yes. I'll admit, I was a little startled when I walked in. A little? He was bleeding from his forehead after all. Man, look how confident he was. He just say that so coldly. Then, freaking right got really hard-boiled. I guess I'd be startled too if I walked in a scene like that. I wouldn't. Honestly, I'd be like, oh wow, dead body. Yeesh, hate to be him. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin.
Hold it!
Could you explain why you called Mr. Gavin? I'd obviously gotten involved in a rather sticky affair, and I figured Kristoff's law offices would give me a friend rate for my defense fees. Yeah, so bad with money, huh? Like the god of fate doesn't want Phoenix to ever have money. Ah, glad to hear you intend to pay. Oh, I'll pay in full, Kristoff. It was I who got you involved after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my good friend. Quite high. Is this the truth that Mr. Wright was talking about? Justice, you know what you have to do. He's lying. Expose him now. Yes, sir. I have to think. What's Mr. Wright trying to tell me with his testimony? The truth has to be in there somewhere. Let me take a look at that photograph again. The table here is different from the table elsewhere. Walked in 5 minutes after Kristoff left. Card in the bottle. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead. Blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's a thing. A cut, but he was hit by a blunt object.
Objection!
Guess not. Fudge. Ah, jeez. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. Wait. When I returned, he was dead, but you went back? You couldn't have made another phone call. You were in the same floor as before. That's impossible.
Hey, I got it right. He can't have called him. Gotta save. I'm about to die. There's a contradiction here. That's when I made another phone call to the defense attorney Gavin. He couldn't have. He was on the first floor. Death caused by a single blow to the head. Wait, I just saw something. Investigate. Victim's Ace, Tim and death, causing cerebral hemorrhaging resulting from blunt trauma to forehead. Yeah, that's something else that's pretty suspicious. Let me present this.
Objection!
What? No way. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Oh wait, I was supposed to go here.
Objection!
No? I'm dead. Time to reload. Is it the same? Sure does take a long time to reload. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Jay Smith walked in 5 minutes later after Christoph left. Question, who took this photo? It was Olga. I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle, which is not there. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call. So you left again?
Hold it!
Uh-huh. Made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. But he couldn't have made another phone call. He was on the basement floor again. And he said cuts, but he was hit by a blunt force trauma. Take a look at this picture again. And what's with this goddamn window over here? What exactly should I be targeting? That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Which photograph? Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. And when I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. I don't think he actually what if I target the disposing of it? Because I can see it in the picture right here. Right there in the corner.
Objection!
Nope, that's not it either. That's not it. Scribble the trap and spoiled the card in the bottle. That's irrelevant. The girl was knocked out cold and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. However... I can move the cell phone. Wait, what's this? Wow, the battery's behind being held with a piece of tape. He should just buy a new one. Maybe he can afford it. Or he just doesn't care? Huh, interesting. Why is there tape behind his phone? That's the phone he's using? It's so old. Eating borscht. The table. Playing cards. We know that one of them is blue. Estimated time of death between 1:45 and 2:15. I mean, that's the thing that really annoys me. It's obviously not the same thing. It's this. Cut for the forehead.
Objection!
But it's not. When I returned, she was dead. Made another phone call to Defense Attorney Gavin. What did I press again?
Hold it!
And when you turned, the victim was already dead. Yes, I admit, startled. As we made another phone call.
Hold it!
Again. Bottle. Wine the bottle. What do we do? Autoplay. I don't think it helps. That's when I made another phone call to Defense Attorney Gavin. What do I present? Can't present people. Sub-basement Porsche School Club.
Objection!
No, that's not it. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Doesn't seem there's much space for the both of you. This?
Objection!
No. Oof, I'm stumped. What could it be? It has to be something. Come on, think. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Irrelevant. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes later after Christoph left. Irrelevant. Discovered the trap during the game. Disposed for the card in the bottle. Irrelevant. Girl was knocked out cold. Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police.
Hold it!
Oh, was that? Superfire? Been out of Wi-Fi for the past 20 days due to an ice storm. Just got back. Yeah, I'm still streaming. But an ice storm, really? Whoa, 20 days without internet. Well, good to see you're back on the internet. Right now we're playing Ace Attorney. I'm stumped in this part right here. Exactly, cell phones will get signal down in the hideouts. Was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night after all. So there in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. He says he was alone, but he's accusing of Gavin of being there as well. What's the answer? When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. And I represented these. It's not the bottle, is it?
Objection!
No. What could the answer be? This piece of evidence is irrelevant. Irrelevant. This? Does that have any relevance? I don't think so. That's the first floor. Was defendant to notify the police of the restaurant's first floor. And this thing has paper stuck to it. Photograph of the forehead, had removed during investigation. Blunt force. Crime photo 1. That's the thing, what's with that window? Maybe that's a contradiction. He's lying, expose him. I'm really stunned. We sat at the table in this photograph. Did you? If you walked in 5 minutes later... You haven't seen any gameplay of this game before. Do you solve the case in the actual courtroom? Yes. You have to solve the case in the courtroom. Any investigation they do outside is just to help you solve the case in the courtroom. It's really funny because sometimes, like, the detectives, they find clues, but there's this one character called Gumshoe who's really funny. You can call him the bumbling detective. Dispose of the card in the bottle. Girl was knocked out cold, Smith was uncontrollable, left to call the police. What if I present this?
Objection!
That's not it. Reload. And you only have so many lives before you end up dying. Some master procrastination from the characters. Yeah, it's really funny. Because you have the detectives, Gumshoe, who isn't really good at his job. In the last trilogy, they kept cutting his salary every time he messed up. Like, we're gonna cut your salary again. We're gonna cut it again. We sat at the table in this photograph. This one? Or this one?
Objection!
Darn. Oh. It's taking me too long. I gotta find the wiki. Second, this for too long. Do. Continuing details using presses. Press 13, then we'll revise it. Placing the crime photo 1 on the 5th statement. Crime photo 1 on the 5th statement? But why would that work? Okay. Crime photo 1 on the 5th statement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I returned, he was dead, not streaming. What contradiction is there to be found here? Oh, the hat. Oh, the hat.
Objection!
Mr. Wright, if I may. Yes. Take a look at this photograph of the crime scene. See the victim here? He's wearing a hat. It's the goddamn hat. I wouldn't think you could see blood on his forehead. Oh, good point. What? Justice? Next time you point out an inconsistency, put a little bit more oomph into it. Mr. Wright, can you explain this to the court? Ah, I forgot to mention something. I was the one who put that hat on his head. You what? You put the hat on the dead man's head? He wore it through an entire poker game. After calling the police, when I returned to the scene, his head was in full view, shining bright, just like in this photograph. And I picked up his head off the floor and put it on his head. Why would you do such a thing like that? All I can say is, I'm sorry. But that's the only thing I touched at the crime scene. So, Miss Orley didn't see it being the victim's or his head? I think not. She was out cold. I believe I was the only one who witnessed his head. Ah, here we go again. Mr. Gavin? Pardon? It just seems that our client is determined to lie his way through this case. Hey, he's still our client, isn't he? In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradictions call for decisive action. Oh. Push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling that we're not on our client's side anymore? That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. G. Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. I discovered the trap. Girl was knocked out. I contacted the police. You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down the hideout. Was anyone else on the floor at the time? Not a soul. Same thing. I think I returned to the hideout. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. I think from now I have to have the press. And when we returned, the victim was already dead, yes. A minute. A little. Bleeding from his forehead, after all. That's when I made another phone call to Defense Attorney Gavin. Where did he make that phone call? Oh, let me go back. Let's phone call. You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes, he dines with me frequently. Usual. Indeed. We dined for 2 hours, then Christoph left. After that, for 2 hours, Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. 5 minutes. Hehehe, almost right. Here I was all nervous about this meeting. I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle. Why in the bottle? It's all the same. It really is all the same. Maybe now I can press him on the phone call. So I left to make a phone call. As when I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to Defense Attorney Gavin. But you couldn't have.
Objection!
The phone call doesn't work. No. I wonder. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. Made another phone call to Defense Attorney Gavin. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in the photograph. Cuts on his forehead. Maybe now I can press him on the autopsy report.
Objection!
No? I need to guide again. Oh no, I'd be a terrible lawyer. Ah, I see. The bottle. There's nothing here. The bottle is completely empty. Yeah, I know that. Grape juice? How long has it been since I drank grape juice? Apparently it's Mr. Wright's favorite drink. I wonder how well it goes with borscht. So now that it's technically, I know it's empty now, can I press him with this?
Objection!
Now it works. I had to examine it. Oh, Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes. I've examined the bottle and I don't see any card in there. No? What? Mr. Wright, surely, isn't all you have to say for yourself? I can't say no that what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Huh? Perhaps a fifth person came and took it out. Oh, and a sixth person could have helped. He's making fun of his accusation. Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client. My apologies, Your Honor. I won't have you disparaging our investigation either. We looked inside that bottle. There was nothing. So what's going on? Mr. Wright hoodwinked us again? I know where that card is. It's in the picture on the right. Or did the card just disappear? I believe that's enough of that. Mr. Gavin, this witness's testimony is more like of a travesty. It's riddled with lies. I begin to see how you came to lose your attorney's badge 7 years ago. Well, you certainly have a unique way of treating your clients, Kristoff. I never knew. I believe it was you who threw the first stone. Mr. Wright, if you intend to ever tell the truth about this case, it's now or never. Don't be misled. I haven't told a single lie here. Huh? When I noticed the trap, I put the card in the bottle to dispose of it. And when I put the hat on the victim's head, let's just say I had a reason for doing that as well. Reason? That reason is right here. The phone. It's got something on the back, tape, right? That night, recall that I spoke with Defense Attorney Gavin after calling the police. Just in case, I recorded our conversation. What's this? Now that we're all here, I see no reason why I shouldn't play it back for the courts. It's got evidence. Kristoff, I seem to be in a bit of trouble. What's this? Game not going well? Something like that. That gentleman who challenged you, he turned out to be good? He turned out to be dead. Someone hit him. Hard. You mean someone cracked that flawless bone of chin painting? It wasn't you, was it? Me? Please. The cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should it come to that? Bone china plate? A kind of porcelain, very smooth and shiny. And not plate, but pate. I believe he was referring to a certain gentleman's balding forehead. The court appreciates the defendant's discretion in not indicating my forehead. Wait a second. Something's not right about this phone call. So, after Mr. Gavin ate dinner with you, he left the Borscht Bowl Club. Most certainly. Then how did he know? When did he see this bone china plate? Oh, that's right. Yes, that was when I began to see my good friend in a different light. Oh, that's when he slipped up, I see. Troubled, I returned to the scene of the crime. And when I spotted Mr. Smith's head again, I realized exactly what was wrong. Well, Mr. Gavin, the stage has been set. Perhaps you would like to explain this to the court. Exactly how did you come by your privileged knowledge of the victim's head? So, this is your reason. The reason why you put the victim's hat back on. Your point, Mr. Gavin? It's come down to this, has it, Phoenix Wright? Oh my god, the defense attorney's a murderer. Order. I will have order, Mr. Payne. Yes, Your Honor. I believe this court has been left with no other choice. Are you prepared to hear the defense attorney's Gavin's testimony? We're putting him to court. Oh no. Sorry, mentor. Well, as the prosecutor, Very well. We'll break for 10 minutes. After which, Mr. Gavin will take the stand for a cross-examination. Are we all clear on that? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Very well. This will be the final recess for the day. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought that today would turn out like this? May I? Who is it? Trixie! What? Hello, sir. Please pick a card. What's this all about? Is this one okay? Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You will need a trump card to make it. A trump card? The card you have chosen is magical. Use it wisely, and the game is yours. That's all. It's got blood on it. An ace. Where do I remember that card from? The one that was swapped out. Mr. Smith's hands has 3 aces, and Mr. Wright's 2. It is 5 aces in all. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating. I swear to you. The missing 5th ace. with blood on it. You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to take the deck and draw the truth. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it. Look at that outfit, it's so wild. This bloodstained card is my trump card for fighting the truth? I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl. I'd seen her recently, but where? That's when I made the connection. It's Trixie. Trixie Wright. Look how small she is. April 20th, 2:45 p.m. Court will now reconvene. Defense Attorney Christoph, Gavin, will you please take the stand? There he is, confident. He isn't scared a bit. Now then, would you... Mr. Payne? Yes, Your Honor. Mr... The witness state his name and occupation. Is this farce necessary, Your Honor? Believe me, far stranger things have gone in this courtroom. Fine, I'll play along. First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's hat? By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Bald! Bald! My eyes. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it.
Objection!
Oh, he's on this side now. Stop. They just swapped places. You're on trial, remember? You're the defendant, not the defense attorney. I wouldn't call it ordered, Mr. Gavin. Mr. Wright? What do you think you're doing, Wright? Wow, things sure look different from this other side. You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore the hat all night, never once taking it off, except for that one time. That one time being the instant he was hit. Oh. When Mr. Wright returned from the reporting of the crime, the hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have had to been there in the hideout at the time of the crime. In other words, I must be the real killer, is what you're trying to say. However, it's true that there is a possibility that Phoenix mentioned that they both left the room and possibly met each other at the same time. That was the only possibility that there could have been that they met each other. The only time. Not bad, Apollo. Mr. Gavin? I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the courts. What? Oh, I assure you, I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet, I'm afraid in the current situation, I see little reason to hide anything. Very well, allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night. Finally, you may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in the events of the fateful night? The rage I sensed in that man, that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. I must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead, as he appears in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that he was not in the best place for me to be at the time, so I left. That's when the call came from Wright. Now he's accusing his own defendant. You witnessed the murder? For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed. Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are Mr. Wright's defense team. Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client. You could lose your badge for this. What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand after all. So you are, Mr. Gavin? And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell him that you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. The little window. Mr. Wright? You had to say that. Because that was the only probable window of opportunity. Right, Apollo? Oh. Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared? Yes, Your Honor. Can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial is getting weirder and weirder. You're gonna take out your own boss. Jeez. That fateful night. The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. Press.
Hold it!
That man, you mean Mr. Smith? He was different from the other customers. His aura, shall we say? I knew he was a serious poker player, but it was more than that. So then, you knew the true nature of your client's job? Of course. But I also knew he wasn't engaged in gambling, which would be illegal. Well, it makes sense that he'd know. They were friends after all. Wait for my friend. I returned to the club. You see, I fear this Mr. Smith might be someone coming to settle the old score. I see. What happened then? I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideouts.
Hold it!
But there's the basement floor. The little window. You mean the one used to keep watch upstairs? Yes, a relic of an ancient past. The black marketers used it, I believe. Why didn't you go through the trouble peeking in through the window? Wouldn't it have been easier to just open the door and go into the room? I didn't want to upset Wright, you see. Upset Mr. Wright? Yes. What if my fears had been unfounded? I'd be walking in on their match. Bad form, to say the least. It's totally making an excuse. So far, everything he says makes sense. It must have been right after the murder took place.
Hold it!
How do you know it was right after the murderer? Really? No need to shout, Justice. I was just getting to that. Pardon my testimony. Ah, there he is. The coolest defense in the West. We know and love. Even when you're standing up there on the witness stand, some things never change. I was afraid you'd change too, right? But you haven't. You and that overbearing personality of yours. With friends like these, who needs enemies? The victim was dead, as he appears in the photo. A bald-headed, unconscious girl, and Wright was holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me to be at the time, so I left.
Hold it!
Those were the only three at the scene of the crime. Yes, as far as I saw it at least. Then we're back where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could it have been? But why didn't you talk to the police? 2 reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I had seen, I couldn't abandon my friend.
Objection!
There must have been someone else at the moment of the crime. Justice, I just said as I saw no one. Not a soul. But that goes against what Mr. Wright said. Ah yes, this mysterious fourth person. Who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose. Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin. Let me pose a question then. Tell me, what possible reason did the real killer have to swap the cards in the victim's hand? Perhaps you can show us a reason why such a thing would be necessary. How can I show something I can't find myself? Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the 5th ace. The 5th ace, right. Well, Mr. Justice? Oh, it's because it has blood on it. The question of why the killer would swap out a card has been raised. Can you point out a reason? Show evidence, yes. It's now or never. Evidence showing the reason why a card was swapped out was... Then go ahead and point out your reason, Mr. Justice. Why did the killer take the 5th ace? There's blood on it.
Take that!
My reason is, this. Is that an ace? Why, it's got blood on it. Right next to the spade. What? Oh, he's breaking. That cool persona of his is about to break. Look at his face twitch. He knows he's done for. Weren't expecting this card, were you? Ooh, this is insane. Why wasn't I told about this? Why? Because this is a Mickey Mouse court and he can just bring evidence the day of. There's no point of creating a possible real good defense or offense when they can just bring in new evidence like this. Could this be the missing fifth ace? Inconceivable. How could you? What are you doing with this card? Well, that's the thing. Why is Mr. Gavin so upset? It's just a fishy card from a fishy girl. Oh, that card. It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Club the night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are her stock in trade, after all.
Objection!
No. Impossible. Unacceptable. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud. A fraud? How can you be so sure? What? I would think the only person who could come with a claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene. The real killer. Ooh. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason? The reason for the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime. Where are you going with this? Take another look at the photo and at the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell to the floor, and a trickle of blood ran from his forehead down to the back of his head. Couldn't that drop of blood have fallen on one of the cards? I suppose. The killer then took the card to hide the blood.
Objection!
Regardless, that evidence is non-permissible. Oh, right. Regardless of how you wasted that last 7 years, you used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence. Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? You want to know why the killer would have taken a card from the crime scene? And now I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see.
Objection!
This is baseless conjecture. Baseless.
Objection!
Oh, is right. Oh, I assure you it's quite based. Oh, I assure you it's quite based. What? It's amazing, really, how a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo? Yes? Try picturing the scene of the crime. In your head. Whoa, 3D. The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table. And before the killer swapped the card out, there was a single card with a single drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there is one decisive problem with this scene. Well, what is it? Let's keep it simple, shall we? Given that there was a drop of blood on the card, whose position in this diagram does it fit? The victims? The killers? The witnesses? The second witnesses? Whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card? What man I'm about to do? Point the relevant spots. Uh-oh. The victims, because whose position in this diagram doesn't fit the victims, the killers, the witnesses, second witness. If it was bleeding, that means he saw the bald head. Whose position doesn't fit with the bloody card? The victim?
Take that!
Well, isn't it the victim's position that's the problem? I don't follow your logic, Mr. Justice. Well, look. The victim was struck on the head, sending him back in his chair. You think any blood would fall behind the body, no? Onto the table in front of him? Ah. Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, the blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards. Why, that's right. So, what does this mean? Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs. Swivel chairs? Oh man, what's a swivel chair? Apollo, try turning the chair around. Oh. Like this? The chair was facing the other way? It would have to be. 3D. This game was released on the DS, right? The victim's chair was facing away from the table. When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police, which way was the chair facing? When I came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo. That would mean the killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We know that the victim was facing away from the table at the time of the murder. But this creates another significant contradiction. Save. Again? Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The victims, the killers, the witnesses, or the second witnesses? The second witnesses? Because if they were looking at him this way, it would stand to prove that they had to be standing the other way. It would have to be also the witness, because they're the ones that saw him the other way. Second witness. What doesn't make sense is the second witness. You mean to say I don't make sense? Oh, no, of course you do, sir. As I thought. Uh-oh, I'm dead. That's enough. Well, time to see how this guilty verdict looks like. The court finds the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Fuck. The defendant will surrender himself to the court's care to undergo a regular trial at a high court within a month's time. The court is adjourned. Fudge. Oh, he's back on my side. Shit. Retrying from this scene. Okay. Whose location creates a contradiction? Whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The witness. Because they're the ones who have to see all this crazy stuff go on. Because they woke up again, right?
Take that!
Ta-da! Oh, I also get a full HP. Pretty cool. Exactly what does the witness location contradict? It isn't clear, even to me. Oops. Generally, one does not announce one's own ignorance with such aplomb. I have to take pride in something. Perhaps would you be so kind to try again? Whose location creates a contradiction? Well, the photos are all wrong then, so it has to be this.
Take that!
Well, the contradiction position here is the victims. Again, how many contradictions can one have? Though you're certainly giving him a run for his money. Uh-oh, I missed again. Man, my reasoning skills are off the charts. His hair. He's how he just flung forward. That's a lot of hair gel. The killer, you?
Take that!
The victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. Well, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front? Sitting where his indicator currently is. Wouldn't it be quite hard, yes? Yes, but what you're saying makes no sense. Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall? In the middle of a game? I believe a sufficient reason will soon come to light. What? There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? Try marking it on the diagram. But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Don't worry, let's think this through and see what we find. We know that the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That was the only thing we know about it for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have been standing to strike our victim from the front? Here?
Take that!
Well, I guess the killer would have been, here? Anything to say, Mr. Justice? Sorry? Yikes. Oh, come on, give me a little hint. Try not to overthink things, Apollo. What does your instinct tell you? We know that the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have been standing to strike our victim? In front of him, really?
Take that!
Oh dear. You get to the points for flair, but that's all you get. Oh no. I hardly need to point out that standing there would have been impossible. The victim's facing a solid cupboard. Or are you claiming that the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from the above? It's simple logic, really. If this was the only place the killer could have been standing, then that means at the very moment of the crime... Wait, I know. At the moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there. What? What's this now? Wait, what? I mean, that's only an explanation, right, Mr. Gavin? What do you mean the cupboard wasn't there? It's right there. The window was over there. But the thing is right behind him. Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard in the hideout immediately. What? Bailiff, send a team to the crime scene immediately. Okay, I think we're back. Nice. Okay. Should be back. Just double check. Yep. Let's forge ahead here while we wait. Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed. If the killer was standing here at the time of the crime, then this cupboard wasn't here. Which means... Apollo, try moving the cupboard. Thank you. As you can see, the cupboard was the problem. At the time of the murder, it has to have been as shown here. but then the window is covered. Now everything is in place to be reconstructed to the moment of the crime. Oh my, what's this? What is it now? Look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. It appears we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Huh? Oh dang. Notice something, Apollo? Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion. Now then, Mr. Justice, please point the new contradiction indicator. Is it the victim, the killer, the witness, the second witness? The second witness.
Take that!
You couldn't have been there and watching everything. About this cupboard, are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Sure, why not? Seems kind of far-fetched, honestly. Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit. The cupboard would have been completely covered up the window to the stairs. Ah, that's right. Someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin. What? What did you say? Oh, is the coolest defense in the West losing its cool? Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to their ruin was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the courts exactly where did the witness of the crime scene from? Excuse me, Your Honor. Order. This is the court of law and I will have some order. Wait, you just got received a word from the investigation team at the Porsche Boat Club. They've examined the cupboard in the hideout, Your Honor. Oh, and what did they find? Well, Your Honor, it turns out there is a secret passage behind it. What? A secret passage? What a real shady place. Ah yes, I believe I mentioned something of that sort before. There is one of the tricks to the room of many of our regulars know about. I do remember him saying something about that. Now that he mentions it, a secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in some illegal going-ons. You never know when you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law. So the room has a secret passage. Where does it go? The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops and enjoy a bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. Oh, Phoenix Wright, you've done it again. You see where our line of simple detective reasoning has led us, Apollo. I see it, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. At the time of the murder, the window was blocked and the victim's hat was only off his head for a few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder and Mr. Wright's return from calling the cops. In other words, the only place where anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin, come on, say something. Dare I ask what really happened that night? Actually, I think we could probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith. A date with destiny. There he crouched, hidden in the secret passageway behind the cupboard, holding his breath, waiting for the just right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it. But why? What? Why did you do that? Wait here, I'll get help. Miss Olga Orley was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith. But this time, his time was soon to come. Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. When the killer stepped out of the room, from the secret passage and into the hideout, the victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He wheeled his chair around to look and... whack! After the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card. He would have had, of course, realized the need to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him, he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cards on the floor, and the fact that they were all red. You gonna come clean? Or are you still gonna fight this? Well, it seems this trial has taken yet another turn. I'm truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin. What do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Gavin? Mr. Payne? Yark? Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution will continue this investigation. As for Mr. Phoenix Wright, the defense is hereby cleared of all suspicion. Gwa! You lose. Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin, but I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately.
Objection!
Last-ditch effort. Oh, no need to apologize. I rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand. Your point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick. Excuse me? The defendant is cleared of all suspicion? This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he has done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. And not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney. Illegal evidence.
Objection!
Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin, is there any reason at present to suspect me of wrongdoing? Of course, this bottle, for instance. The bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking. How do you intend to explain away the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne?
Actually, yes. The fingerprints on the bottle were, upside down.
It seems to recall this being an issue earlier. The court and this case demand an explanation. I can think of only one reason why the one would hold a bottle upside down, and that is to hit someone with the bottom of the bottle. Well, Your Honor. See how the caught fish squirms at the last, Will Apollo? Yes, your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still, but I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation, just like that. Yeah. Just like what? Why would anyone grab a bottle upside down other than to go? Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is the only legitimate one. Is there really another? Take another look at the court record. I believe you'll find a simple answer there, in plain sight. So you just grab it from the bottom like this? Right? Because you get it from there. Yeah, you just pull it up. It's this picture right here, Olga's photo. How about you just answer it in plain words? You can do it yourself. Just do Apollo do the work. It would be haste to deliver a verdict with unanswered questions indeed. Well, Mr. Justice, Mr. Gavin said the whole court and this case demand an explanation. Don't worry, justice won't leave until justice is done. Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court. What evidence do you have to explain why the fingerprints on the bottle are upside down? This one.
Take that!
He has to grab it from the box. It's actually easier to just show you than explain, Your Honor. That bottle, place that bottle on the floor next to your chair. Excuse me? On the floor? Yes. Now reach down and pick it up without getting out of the chair. See? You naturally go to pick up the bottle by its neck. With your fingers upside down. Look at the photograph taken on the night of the murder. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor to the side of his piano bench. you would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times. Wow, I can't believe it was that simple. Recall our dinner that evening, Kristoff. Don't wanna. I'm about to get framed for murder. I'm about to get justified for murder. I was drinking my usual juice then. It's freaking wine! Phoenix Wright, you became an alcoholic. Basically, you used the bottles on the table to do the deed. But then you must have remembered. So you went and picked up one of the bottles from under the piano. And you switched the bottles. You took one of Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon. So then one of the bottles near Mr. Wright should have the card still, right? Order, order, order. What do you have to say to these changes, Mr. Gavin? Fascinating. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactics of misdirection. He's still going. He has not given up. He does not want to go to jail. He's too pretty. What? You claim that I switched the bottle? Where is your proof? Proof? Well, that's, as I thought, more baseless conjecture. I'm afraid your bottle of proof is quite empty.
Objection!
I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor, when you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall I requested an additional investigation? The other bottle that still has the card inside. Ah, yes. I have your memo about that here. Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Borscht Bowl Club. And here's one of the bottles in question. What are you going to dust that for fingerprints too? I would be surprised if any were on that but his. Mr. Gavin probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake, true. But that bottle won't bear a trace of anything. Say, Apollo. Yes? Why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle? It has the card. But why? Just humor me. He's like, bruh, you're asking me 20 questions. Can't you figure it out yet? It's the card. It's in there. Just humor me. Gosh darn. Mr. Wright, that bottle will solve this case once and for all. He's thinking 3 steps ahead. Gosh darn, Phoenix Wright. What? That's some bottle. There it is. There's something. The 5 of Hearts. Unscrew. The 5 of Hearts. The one they accused him of using to cheat. What's this? That card. Can't be. Recall that unpleasant woman's testimony for a moment. Miss Olga Orley? Yes, our little swindling Devoshka. That night, I planted a card like I was supposed to. And Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed. Wait, this isn't... You're telling me that this is the planted card you disposed of? I was telling the truth after all. The one you mentioned in this piece of testimony. I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was a 5 of Hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card. Before the game. Disposed? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle. There it is. It's all coming together now. The 5 of Hearts. This is the card. The bottles were swapped, and the only one who could have done that was the 4th person in the club of that night. You, Kristoff Gavin. Defeat. You gonna break down? Or keep your cool? He's earth-shattering. What the hell's going on? Gravity was just destroyed for a brief second. Just look at how confident he looks. That is all. Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright? Revenge? Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago. My past is like my logic, straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper direction. Fine. I'm glad we could have this little tete-a-tete, right? Right? This is insane. What about me? Don't I get to persecute anyone? Nope, you were pretty useless. You were just a standby. You were just a first audience member with first-class seats. Pretty neat. I believe this time we've finally come to the end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin? He's admitted everything. We're processing his arrest now. I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. He didn't even have a connection to the victim, did he? None that we know of. Mr. Wright, do you have anything to add? I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter. About this victim, Mr. Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler. An odd profession, to be sure, and that's all we know about him. I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor. Good. Mr. Wright? Yes? 7 years and you still haven't lost your touch. Christoph Gavin. He was a man with much significance for me, both as a friend and a lawyer. He was extremely talented, to be sure. I needed two things before I could confront him. The first was a place where no injustice would be tolerated, this courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo. Me? This is a dark time for our legal system. A twisting of justice brought on by our very own initial trial system. We have to set it right. Mr. Wright? Our work lies ahead of us, and I, for one, am looking forward to it. Well, this seems like a good time to announce the verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright, not guilty. Woohoo! I'm so totally getting that beanie. Court is adjourned. We were here from like around 10 in the morning to like 4:28. Gosh darn. Thanks, Apollo. You came through, just like I thought you would. I'm pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. It was you who cornered Mr. Gav, the killer. I couldn't have done it by myself. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your ability. Ability? Yes. A sensitivity I lack? You'll come to understand it soon enough. Wait, I wonder if he means the twitch. I have one question for the witness then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim? Is this true? Of course it's true. What's this weird vibe I'm getting? What? What was that, Mr. Wright? You don't have to find the answer to that question yourself. The answer. Right. Today was full of questions without answers, most of them about Mr. Gavin. What possible reason could he have had to commit a murder? Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come. Huh? Wait, you don't know, do you? This locket is the key. Oh, that reminds me. I met the girl whose picture is in your locket. Trixie. Your daughter, right? That's right. She's my daughter. You know, you were right about this locket. Huh? Huh? I took this off the neck of the night he died. It is the stolen locket, bruh. But it looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. So the truth is, this locket really did belong to him. Wait, but that's perjury! You testified you said the locket was yours. I said no such thing, actually. You son of a... I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. And it's the truth. Play on words, way. Wait, but then why? Why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside it? Sometimes the straightest path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started with your career. Speaking of which, I may be out the job. I work for Gavin Law offices after all. You just lost your job like this. Your first job and you now lost it. That's so funny. He's unlucky just like you. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs. Apollo? Yes? How about coming to work for me? But you're not a lawyer anymore. You mean at Red & Co. law offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it. Who runs the place? Is it still getting run? You haven't practiced in 7 years. I can't imagine that to be true, but... Wait, but didn't you... You're not a... Oh, I turned in my badge, yes. I'm not an attorney anymore. So, if he's not an attorney anymore, is he making money? Is he living on the streets? That incident was 7 years ago. That legendary trial. And at the very middle of it, all was one man, Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion, and he left law for good. Have you thought about coming back to the courts? I'm not qualified to stand in the court of law, I'm afraid. Didn't you notice in today's trial, there was a single piece of forged evidence? There was? Forged evidence? What are you talking about? I'm talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. A naughty magician's trick. One piece of evidence struck me as odd, it's true. It just seemed, well, too perfect. I'll bet this forged evidence was... the crime photo, this one. It's the photo. Like, Olga was the one creating evidence to incriminate this one right here. Crime photo 1. Or was it crime photo 2? No, this one shows the truth of the matter. Crime Olga's photo? No. The Chips photo. Was it the Chips photo? Or was it the victim's hand? No, that's not it. The bloody ace? Forged evidence. Wasn't that? Or was it the autopsy? A single blow to forehead. Crime photo 1. Sub-basement. Oh, this right here, because it's blocked.
Take that!
Or maybe you didn't notice. Ah, come on, it was that. Guess that wasn't it. No matter, I'll tell you. It was this. Ah, the card the girl gave me. Frankly, this couldn't have been found at the scene of the crime. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left? Leaving the wrong card in the wrong place, luckily for us. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud. A fraud? How can you be so sure? I would think the only person who claimed it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from this crime scene, the real killer. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago. Then you really... Yes, I forged this card. One look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real. But you can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney. Who's calling themselves an attorney? Apollo. So it's true. The rumor is true. 7 years ago. None of that matters much now, does it? Oh no. I punched him. It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in if you like. Who's running the place? Mr. Wright? Oh, about your uppercut. Try yelling, "Take that" next time. I find it packs a little bit more punch. And Apollo, thanks for today. I had a good time. And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door, and that's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved, and at the time I had no idea they were all related. Every mystery that day, connected by a single thread of logic. I might find out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins. Da 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 da. Save, yes. Continue next episode. Return to games menu. I did not see that coming. Gavin was the killer? This is why I freaking like our Ace Attorney games. They always keep you on your toes. And that's him right there, isn't he? He's back, but he's a prosecutor. How did he get out? That is Mr. Gavin, isn't it? And he become a rock star? That's right, he does the air guitars or something. How did he get out of jail? And how did he become a prosecutor? Well, a lot more questions up to next time. I'll be back with another episode next Thursday. But for now, that's it. I've been Faded Woods and I'm signing out. I'm really enjoying this. Well, see y'all later.